Hey folks, Matt from artoftheimage.com. I've got a viewer writing in. This is David Floyd, and he says, "Hello, can you help me decide between these cameras? Fuji X-T1, Nikon D7200, Nikon D750, and the Sony a7 Mark II. I don't know which to buy." That's what David says there. And so immediately my response was, I wrote him back and I said, "What subjects do you mainly shoot or wish to use the new camera for? I.e. landscapes, portraits, sports, etc." And so David wrote me back and he says, "Thanks for the answer. I shoot documentary photography, street photo, events, and portraits. What camera do you consider is better for sports, landscapes, and portraits?" So it's not really narrowing it down a whole lot, because that's kind of, he wants it for pretty much a generalist camera that wants to be good in just about every area, because sports is action, high speed, you're going to want higher ISOs. Landscape, you probably traditionally want more megapixels and more dynamic range, more better, the optimum image quality. And portraits, kind of a mix of the two. Typically you don't need super high resolution, but good dynamic range is really helpful. And depending on how you're lighting it or where you're shooting them or your circumstances, you may want high ISO ability. So, for instance, if a lot of people are wedding / portrait photographers, they need a high ISO camera. So back to your choices, which were the X-T1, the D7200, the D750, and the Sony a7 Mark II. The 7200 and the 750 from Nikon right away are going to be better at sports than the other two cameras. Better autofocus systems, much faster frames per second rates, and just better tracking overall. Those are two top end, almost unbeatable sports cameras. There's a couple from Canon there that would do the same, but on this list, the 72 and the 750 stick out. So if sports is important to you, you can rule out the other ones just based on the AF speed and the AF tracking. The landscapes, you're going to want more megapixels. So again, 7200 and 750 are both 24 megapixel cameras, so good for that, decent. And the Sony a7 Mark II, yeah, decent as well. Again, the X-T1 unfortunately is only 16 megapixels, which a lot of landscape photographers are going to find a little on the low side these days, considering that a lot of people use an 800 or the new Canon 5DS is a favorite for landscapes. So in that sense, again, we're down to the 7200 Nikon, the Nikon D750, and I would throw the Sony in there, where I didn't with sports. Portraits, any of them are fine, but you're down to getting some advantages with the 7200 and advantages with the D750 and the a7 Mark II in resolution that allow you to crop, and just depending what your circumstances are, if you're not in a fully controlled studio setting. I've seen lots of great portraits from the X-T1. It's a great portrait camera, but you do get more resolution, and you do get better autofocus out of the Nikons, and you get more resolution out of the Sony. So out of these, my choice, and I think you can see, I'm giving you the reasons why, it comes down to better AF and resolution, would probably be, ultimately my choice out of these, if money is not a concern, and you haven't said it is, would be the Nikon D750. Probably the best, the D750 is probably just about the best full frame DSLR out there right now for the money. It's always a toss-up for me, because for value for the money, the D610 is fantastic too. But the 750 has a higher-end autofocus system, absolutely stellar tracking and whatnot, so a great sports camera. 24 full frame, full featured, wonderful megapixels, great dynamic range, top of leading high ISO. So to me, the 750 is your first choice, and then my second choice there would be probably the D7200, and that would be, I'm assuming then at that point that you just don't want to spend the extra money on the 750, so then I would go for the 7200, and then the Sony and the X-T1 would be the next choices below that. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me in my reasoning? Leave some comments below. Let's discuss it. Let's help David figure out what to buy here. Again, my first choice, especially, I'm going to note that it obviously doesn't seem like money's a concern, then I would definitely go with the D750. I think it's a wonderful camera. It's probably my favorite full frame out there. I always have to throw in that caveat that I love the 610 because of the value it brings. But 750, what do you guys think? Leave your comments below, and stay tuned. We'll be back soon here at artoftheimage.com. And thanks for your question, David.